I'm Susan Hendricks in Atlanta. Welcome to a Weekend Express special report. It is February 14th, 2021. On this day, 4 years ago, the small town of Delphi, Indiana, was forever changed. Two young girls, Abigail Williams and Libby German, were dropped off at the Monon High Bridge and never made it home. Their bodies discovered the next day. So many questions still remain. Who did this? Video and audio found on Libby's cell phone. A man heard ordering the girls down the hill. Yet 4 years later, it is still unsolved. We have reported on this case extensively, gotten to know investigators and family members. Tonight, the team behind the podcast Down the Hill, the Delphi Murders, brings you a two-night special. The HLN team went back to Delphi to investigate. Authorities need your help. Tonight and tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, you will hear new details about the chilling crime. Never heard before interviews with family members and law enforcement who are determined to find the killer. Two of those family members that we've gotten to know, Libby's grandparents, Mike and Becky Patty, they will not stop until the man known as Bridge Guy is in custody. The goal, of course, justice for Abby and Libby. HLN asked the grandparents to write a letter to the public asking for your help. In the letter, they write this now, quote, "We are asking the public to give us a minute. When asked to do something, Libby would always say, 'Give me a minute.' Now we are asking you for that minute," they say. When you are out doing your normal daily life activities, maybe sitting at a restaurant, standing in line at a store, or sitting in the bleachers at an event. Strike up a conversation, they say, with whomever is close to you. Bring up the story of Abby and Libby. It may be someone who has never heard about the case. This will help raise awareness. Again, that is from Mike and Becky Patty. Another person who has helped bring attention to this brutal crime is Callan Walsh with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Callan walked on that bridge and, like authorities, believes he must be familiar with that area, the person that did this.
When you're there, you really see how treacherous this terrain truly is. The bridge is very high and it's dilapidated. It's falling apart. There are places that you have to jump to get to the next rung, or you'll fall, likely to your death. This is a place that not everybody is going to go crossing that bridge just on a whim. To me, that really shows that whoever did cross this bridge and following the two girls, Abby and Libby, knew exactly what they were doing. In fact, in the video, you can see he had his hands in his pockets at some point. I can't imagine a scenario where somebody would cross that bridge, have never done so before, in hopes that they would make it over to the other side. It really is a harrowing experience to cross that bridge. I did it, and it freaked me out just crossing it.
You're more brave than I am. I took one step onto one plank and was shaking and turned around. It's understandable for a 12 and 13-year-old taking pictures on the bridge and really no fear there. But for a grown man, you're right, the gaps in between were so large. With that said, to me, being so deep into the wooded area, said that he knew that area extremely well.
He did, and also the location and where the girls' bodies were discovered. It was across the trestle and then down to the side of the bank, which is an area that you can't see from the trails, the Monon High trails. That, to me, also lends me to believe that he knew the area very well. If he was going to assault these girls, he can't do it out in the open, and the other side of that trestle is a bit bare. So he took those girls down to another area that he had knowledge of, in my opinion. And to me, again, it just shows that person had been there before, is either from that area, lives in that area, but knows that area well.
And describes the innocence of a town, really, because Sheriff Tobelezemby told me, look, I called off the search because I thought the girls were going to be found, but still community members kept searching. So it doesn't surprise you, I would imagine, when you know where the bodies were found, that they were kind of hidden, that they weren't found right away.
They were, and that's why this case is so baffling, because this is a small town. This is a small, tight-knit community. And there's still images and pictures up of those girls all across the town. Everybody knows what happened. And those girls left us evidence, footage, video, audio. They left us that evidence to help bring them justice, and we've failed them. We've not been able to pinpoint this individual, which to me, it makes this case so baffling, because if he is from that small town, somebody would know who he is. Somebody would do the right thing and let law enforcement know, give us that tip. But that hasn't come. And these girls, 4 years later, still don't have justice.
Considering Callahan genealogy and all of the technology involved with DNA and being able to track someone, do you think it will be solved? When you left Delphi, did you think, okay, this will never be solved, or one day they will find justice?
I think it's a matter of time. I think whether it's a new technology that's unavailable at this point, whether it's somebody finally coming forward and as you said, taking one of those genealogy tests and that sort of cracking the case wide open, or somebody finally coming forward. This has got to weigh heavy on anyone's heart who has any information that's holding it back and not letting law enforcement know. And I think it's just a matter of time where one of those things will bring us justice, will be the key that unlocks the door to justice.
What do you say to family members who may, I don't know, be giving up hope that this guy will be brought to justice?
I always say you can't give up hope. You can never give up hope. The public can't give up hope, and because we know the family will never. And we have to keep hope alive, because keeping these stories out there, in the media, telling the story of these girls, and the many other cases of missing and murdered individuals who haven't gotten the justice they deserve, keeping that story alive is what will allow us to get the answers that we're all so desperately looking for. If it goes by the wayside and we forget about these girls, or we stop telling the story, there's a likely chance that we'll never find out who did it. And so I always say we got to keep hope alive. We got to keep fighting, and we got to keep searching for this killer.
We know the families will never give up. Callan Walsh, thank you. If you do have any information about the case, here is the Delphi tip line, 844-459-5786. Just ahead, Kelsey German, Libby's sister, takes us back to her final moments with her sister and Abby. Kelsey dropped the girls off at the bridge and never saw them again.
I remember my last words to them. When they were getting out of the car, I made sure they had sweatshirts, and I told Libby I loved her.
What did she say back?
The last words she heard from the sister she loved. That, of course, is the Delphi tip line, and we'll continue to show you that throughout the show. Police have gotten more than 50,000 tips, but they still need your help finding the person who murdered two innocent girls, just 13 and 14 years old at the time. Kelsey German, Libby's sister, dropped the girls off on a warm February day 4 years ago. Kelsey and I took that same car ride, retracing what would be her final moments with Abby and Libby.
So as we approach here, do you remember that day, what you said to them?
Well, I wasn't really talking to them. They were mostly talking to each other.
Do you remember what they were saying in the back seat on this portion of the drive, or it was just like anything else, any other day?
It was just like any other day. We had the music up really loud, and we were like singing and just the normal things that we did in the car together.
And it was the afternoon, right? It was around 1 o'clock?
Yeah, like 1:30.
And were they making a lot of noise in the back seat? Do you remember what they were saying or what they were doing?
Libby was actually in the front and Abby was in the back. So we were listening to music really loud, and we had the windows down. We were listening to some of Libby's favorite songs, like Heathens by 21 Pilots, that kind of thing.
So 21 Pilots, Heathens was playing that day. That plays in your mind.
Yeah.
And when you dropped them off, you said, bye, take your sweater. Did they not want to take their sweater or their jacket?
Libby didn't think that she needed to because of how nice it was, but I was like, come on, you know that you're going to need it because it's kind of shaded over there. So she ended up taking it, and Abby had like a short sleeve shirt on, so I was like, come on, you guys can take my sweatshirt. So they both had my sweatshirts on. I remember my last words to them. When they were getting out of the car, I made sure they had sweatshirts, and I told Libby I loved her.
What did she say back?
She told me she loved me too, and that she'd see me later.
Are you glad you said I loved you?
Yeah, I'm glad that I got to say it one more time.
And it's typically what you guys said to each other.
Yeah, my whole family does that. Where we want to make sure that we say goodbye properly in case something happens. Of course, we never imagine something actually happening. But I think it's good that we do that, especially now.
driven this route again since?
I did drive it that day, and we've been out here a couple times just to go to the bridge and see the little memorials that are down there.
It's been almost 2 years. Does it feel like that?
No, it feels like it was yesterday. It's crazy that it's actually been that long.
How long after you dropped them off did someone call you and say, we can't find them?
I think it would have been 2.5 hours later is when I got the call from my grandma.
And you probably thought it was no big deal, that nothing was wrong, or did you immediately start to worry?
I figured it was just something like I forgot to do the dishes or something along those lines, or maybe she was trying to see where I was. I never would have imagined it was her calling to tell me my sister was missing.
And did you worry right away as soon as you heard she was missing? Because that's not like her, or were you calm in the beginning?
In the beginning, I was kind of calm. I was worried, but I figured like it was like there was a simple explanation for what was happening. I didn't think it would be what it was.
I don't think anyone did.
No, I don't think so either.
So they had asked you before this time, will you drive us, will you drive us? And you never said yes. And then this time, you knew you were going to see your boyfriend and you had the time to bring them?
I mean, it wasn't really like, they weren't always asking me to take them to High Bridge, but Libby would always ask me to take her to places like, can we go to McDonald's, or can we go to Lafayette and go to see a movie? And it seemed like I was always saying no because I didn't want to go all the way to Lafayette, or I didn't have money to pay for it. So, yeah, this time I decided I'd said no enough that like I could handle taking her this time.
Do you regret that?
Yeah, sometimes I wish I would have been a mean sister and just said no. But
you know it's not your fault.
I'm getting there. I'm learning that, I guess.
No one could have imagined what happened on that day. Today is the day. Words from Libby's grandmother, Becky. She is talking about the day someone is arrested, delivering justice for Abby and Libby. She says she knows one day she will be right. What the last 4 years have been like for the families of Abby and Libby, and how you can help.
What's so funny?
Images, videos of the girls laughing, joking, living in the moment, excited for the future, innocence stolen. HLN is dedicated to this case, to helping the family members. The goal, justice for Abby and Libby. I spoke to Libby's grandmother, Becky, about what keeps her going. Becky, good to see you. Every day I see your post that says today is the day. How do you hold on to hope that justice will be served?
Well, there's no option. If you have to have hope every day that he's going to be caught. If not, then there's really no reason to continue, is there?
I notice every time I talk to you, there's a light in your voice and a happiness that you and Mike have, and Kelsey as well. Is that the same answer because there's no other choice but to carry on in her name?
No, there isn't. We're kind of stuck on February 13th, 2017. So we've decided that we have to live and we have to spend all of our time honoring her while we sit and wait for this monster to be caught.
Speaking of the monster, at the second press conference the day after Easter, I saw you and authorities said, look, we're going in a different direction, playing a little bit more sound with that voice saying guys and seeing a different sketch. What were your thoughts after? Did you think this would be solved by now after that second presser?
Well, we were sure hoping that when they put that out there that it was going to happen quickly. We kind of was hoping that that was the reason they said for the media not to talk to us for 2 weeks. We were thinking, all right, they're going to, they're close, they're going to have him, it's going to be done. But that wasn't the case, but that's okay. We're going to hang on to that hope.
Is there something you'd like the public to know that maybe they don't know about Libby and just her spirit and what type of girl she was?
I've said it many times, our whole family has, but it's the truth. Libby was a very caring, giving person. She thought of people first. She put other people's happiness before hers. And she would agree sometimes just to keep the peace. She wasn't one to push her thoughts on other people. She believed everybody had their own ideas and their own way of thinking, and she respected that. She was, we're missing out. This world is a lesser place without her.
I know the milestones are hard for you, as I'm sure they are for Abby's family too, saying she should be doing this at this point in her life.
Oh, this has been a very hard year. A very hard year. This is, the girls are seniors this year. And I will always speak of Libby in the present tense because to me, she's always here. We've been seeing on Facebook and stuff, their friends posting their senior pictures, which, by the way, they've become beautiful young women. Mm-hmm. And I realized we don't have senior pictures. And they were painting their parking spaces because the seniors get to customize their own parking places. And I sit there, and when I look at theirs, I wonder what Libby would have done with hers. So this is a year of many happy for other people, but it hits really hard that we're not doing those things.
What I noticed in Delphi were all of the teal and purple ribbons in honor of Abby and Libby, and the authorities at the time said they believe he could be local. Do you walk around, Becky, in fear that he's around?
Not in fear, but cautious, always on the lookout, always looking at people. It's kind of sad that we have to do that in this community because we never did before.
I don't say if, I say when someone is arrested. What will you say to him, if anything?
I've thought of that many times. And I go over it in my head of what I would say, what I would do. But in reality, none of us know what we would say, if we would say anything. But I can tell you this much, you'll hear me in Atlanta. When he's caught, you'll hear us celebrating.
Mm-hmm. I know, I'm looking forward to that day. In the meantime, you've built, with volunteers, a beautiful memorial park in their name, Abby and Libby, and the website is abbyandlibbymemorialpark.org for those who would like to donate. It's not completed just yet. And I'm sure you feel kind of a sense of joy when you visit. What's it like?
Oh, yes. We realized the girls would have loved this place because they went to the parks. Both girls did lots of things outside, and this keeps them alive for many generations to come. Abby and Libby will still be here. People will know their name and maybe understand the story for generations to come, and we're not here to tell their story. This has been a year of construction. A lot has happened this year. We got the septic system in, we've gotten the wells in, the walking trail is in, the amphitheater's up. They are at this moment in the process of completing 3 of the picnic shelters. The foundation and plumbing is stubbed in for the 2 concession stands and bathroom houses. We're slowly getting there. We are really hoping that next year we'll be playing ball, having concerts. Oh yes, one of the playgrounds was also placed.
Wow.
And it's really neat. It's a small playground, and Diane, which is Anna's mom, she come up with this idea. We got a grant, and we had this money that we had to spend, so she started looking. And one of the things that we were able to get through this grant was, yes, we have the playground there for little kids, but we also got outdoor workout equipment for adults.
That's
and we are
fabulous.
Yes, we're placing those around the play set for the kids so that moms, dads, whatever, don't have to sit on park bench and be on their phones. They can sit there and work out while their kids are playing, so they all get some enjoyment out of the park there.
And Becky, you and I connected in your kitchen in Delphi when you were telling me about Cardinals that would visit, and we both had the same thought process that means someone who has passed is visiting. Have you seen Cardinals around lately?
Oh, I see them quite often. And a lot of times you won't really notice them, but if you're having a really bad day or something and you look up and there's a cardinal, and it's kind of ironic that a lot of times that cardinal's right outside my office window or someplace very predominant where it knows I'm going to see it. So I know she comes back and checks up on us.
Becky, I think of you and Mike and Abby and Libby often, and I'm hoping for justice. Thank you so much, Becky. Good to see you. Thanks so much for being with us. The goal is to find the person that did this. If you have any information, you are asked to call the Delphi tip line, Justice for Abby and Libby. Don't miss it tonight. Two-night special, Down the Hill, the Delphi Murders, begins tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern.